Turkey's outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party says the conditions for maintaining a ceasefire with Ankara is no longer in place. This after Turkish warplanes bombed PKK positions in northern Iraq. PKK says it has the right to defend itself and to resist. The group described Turkey's bombardment of their positions as the most serious military and political error of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. One person was killed and 3 others were injured in the attack. Earlier, Turkish Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu said air raids will continue against PKK and ISIL.
Turkey's operations will, if needed, continue until the terror organization's command centers, all locations where they plan attacks against Turkey, and all depots used to store arms to be used against Turkey are destroyed.
Meanwhile, President of Iraq's Kurdistan Regional Governor Masoud Barzani has called on Ankara to halt its air raids against Kurds. Ankara claims Barzani has given the green light for the aerial campaign against PKK. The developments come after the military wing of the Kurdish group said it killed 2 Turkish police officers on Wednesday. The officers were accused of collaborating with ISIL in a deadly bombing in the predominantly Kurdish town of Suruç in southern Turkey earlier this week.
Turkish warplanes launched air raids on the positions of the Kurdistan Workers' Party in northern Iraq by targeting camps in Dirlok, Haftanin, Duhok, Khwarkurk and Sitkan, all located in north of Erbil, close to border with Turkey. This is the first broad attack on PKK strongholds following the group's withdrawal from Turkish territory. The office of Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu said in a statement, the bombers hit 7 PKK camps. The Kurdistan Workers' Party has confirmed the aerial and artillery bombardment of its sites.
PKK says the Turkish government has broken the ceasefire and ended the peace talks. Therefore, the PKK will exercise their right to self-defense. The Turkish government is now engaged in military operations in southern Kurdistan and it is not acceptable by PKK.
The PKK announced on Saturday in a statement that there is no longer any meaning for the truce after the intensive airstrikes of the Turkish military occupier.
The Turkish governments have always been against the Kurds. They want to forbid them from having their own country or establish Kurdistan. But today they're comparing Kurds to ISIL. And if we look at the airstrikes, the attacks on Kurdish targets were more than those of the ISIL. We have information that ISIL positions, which were bombed by Turkish jets, were empty.
President Recep Tayyip Erdogan started peace talks with Kurds in 2012 in an attempt to end the Kurdish issue forever. The Turkish government seemed to be afraid of the PKK threat more than it is afraid of the ISIL. This is seen clearly in the amount of airstrikes on both groups. Many here believe that the ISIL's danger is much more than that of the PKK. Rashan Saglami, Press TV, Istanbul.
To discuss this further, let's go to Washington and talk to Dr. Webster Griffin Tarpley, author and historian. Welcome to the program. So, Dr. Tarpley, how much could one say Turkey's so-called anti-ISIL operations are meant to suppress the Kurds?
Well, it seemed to have a classic bait and switch, a cheap trick by Erdogan and Davutoglu. They announced it. It looked like they were finally admitting and stopping this policy they've had of supporting and harboring the ISIS terrorists, right? They've let ISIS terrorists operate on their territory, have bases there, go across the whole ISIS logistics, the oil, the recruits, the money. All of this depends on Turkey. Turkey could essentially shut down ISIS from 1 minute to the next. So yesterday, the big announcement was they were finally bombing some of the ISIS sites, which I think is, you could attribute that to self-defense. But now this other aspect has come in, right? The obsession of the Turkish authorities with the Kurds and the fact that in the past year or so, the PKK Kurds as well as the KYP Kurds, in other words, the PKK probably more in Iraq, the KYP probably more in Syria, these have been some of the most effective fighters against ISIS, along with some others. So what you've got is, it looks like a policy designed to push ISIS away from the Turkish border, give them some kind of the buffer zone, which they've been constantly harping on, and push them into northern Iraq, essentially push them in the direction of the U.S. forces and the Iraqi the Iraqi state. So it's a very crude trick, and of course, when everything like this happens, we've got to look at General John Allen, the ISIS czar in the Obama administration, in the State Department, who really acts as a kind of ambassador of Qatar and Turkey and Saudi Arabia to Washington, and he delivers their demands to Obama and tells Obama he should do what they want. But it's a very treacherous tactic. It raises the question of whether Turkey should not be kicked out of NATO, whether it's possible to have a normal alliance relationship with a government of this duplicity, trickery, and cynicism.
And of course, Doctor, what kind of a situation are we to see if the Kurds start to react to Turkey's attacks?
Well, again, the problem is there are two sides to the front, and again, the current tactic seems to be channeling the ISIS people, right, pushing them away from Turkey and pushing them towards the PKK. And indeed the Peshmerga, in other words, the cities in northern Iraq, which is really now a Kurdistan entity, they will come under attack. So it's just, and of course, not too far away from that is Iran. So it's a very cynical thing, and it's going to give us a wider war. And I don't know if the State Department has said anything about it. I can't see anything that they've done. The U.S. should condemn that and demand that they stop.
Indeed. Dr. Webster Griffin Tarpley, author and historian from Washington. As always, thanks for your time there, sir.